Hey guys, it's Toasty Gaming, and today I'm going to bring you my tier list of the best cultures in Bannerlord. I'm going to be judging each faction based off of their troops, culture bonus, location on the map, as well as my experience with them throughout my hours of Bannerlord. If you enjoy the video, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like and subscribe to see more content. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it, starting with Sturgia. They're located in the far north, which gives them a natural border preventing them from being attacked on all sides. However, the security does come at a large cost. The Sturgian lands are heavily forested, as well as being covered in snow for a large part of the year, which drastically reduces the movement speed when traveling through their territory. Unlike Battania or Aserai, they don't get any move speed bonuses, so they'll be moving at the same speed as enemy cultures through their own territory. One final con about Sturgia's location is that they are right next to the Kuzait on the map. The Kuzait has a lot of horses, and they would generally tend to beat Sturgia in simulated battles. Oftentimes, I will tend to see them start pushing up and taking Tial and some of these castles, but rarely ever have I seen Sturgia start to push up against the Kuzait. Next, let's take a look at the culture bonuses we get for choosing Sturgia. We get a 25% reduced cost when recruiting and upgrading infantry, as well as our armies losing 20% less daily cohesion. This can come in handy for saving a bit of money and influence in the early game, but tends to become less useful as you get deeper into your campaigns. Once you start taking bigger battles, the money and influence cost to maintain your armies becomes pretty much negligible. The negative is 20% more relationship penalty from our kingdom decisions. This isn't too bad and can be easily offset through the new buffed charm skill. Finally, let's take a quick look at the Sturgian troops. I've already made infantry, cavalry, as well as archer tier list videos, so check those out if you want to see a more in-depth look at these units. Otherwise, I'll just do a quick overview for this video. I placed pretty much all of the Sturgian tier 5 units towards the bottom of my tier list due to their lower damage as well as armor when compared to other tier 5 units in Bannerlord. The one saving grace of this troop tree is the Druzhnik champion. These guys are tanks and deal high damage on the battlefield, and I consider them one of the top 3 cavalry units in the game. Up next, we have the first faction that I'm going to place in the average tier, the Aserai. When taking a look at Aserai's location on the map, we can see that they get a similar benefit to Sturgia as they don't have to worry about being attacked from the south. However, they do have an advantage over Sturgia as they get a movement speed bonus when traveling throughout the desert that counters the debuff that other factions will get. This means when they're traveling throughout their own territory, they will have an advantage and be able to either escape or chase down other factions easier, which I think is a pretty nice benefit. Let's take a look at the culture bonuses we get for choosing Aserai. Our caravans will be 30% cheaper to build, and we will get 10% less trade penalty. This can be nice if you're going for a trade playthrough or you're trying to set up caravans in the beginning of your campaigns. However, these bonuses tend to scale down similar to Sturgia and are not as useful in the late game. One thing that should be noted is the trade penalty reduction does work for your companions if they're running a caravan. So if you have the caravans up, be sure to have an Aserai companion leading it for that extra profit. I am a big fan of the second bonus, no speed penalty in the desert. Like I said earlier, this will allow you to chase down enemies or retreat when traveling through your own lands. The penalty we get for choosing Aserai is a 5% increase to the daily wages of our troops. This hurts a bit as you want to try to keep your daily wages as low as possible, but it's only 5% and can be offset by perks in the Steward and a few other skill trees. Finally, let's take a quick look at the Aserai troop tree. I'm a pretty big fan of the troops that they offer because they are one of only 2 cultures that have every different type of troop available to them. Sword and shield, two-handed, archers, horse archers, as well as regular cavalry through their noble line. One problem I see with them is that they're a jack of all trades, however, a master of none. None of these units are the best in class. They don't have the best archers, or the best horse archers, or the best two-handed, but they do offer a unit in every type of tree. Coming up next in the average tier, we have Vlandia. When taking a look at location on the map, Vlandia is placed at one of my favorite spots. They're on the far west side, giving them protection from attacks on the left, and they are mainly only touching Battania, with slight connections to the Empire and Sturgia to the north and south. This gives them the ability to just focus on one faction at a time when warring, and allows them to slowly expand, which is why I consider them to be one of the best places to start if you're looking to take over all of Calradia. Next, let's take a look at the culture bonuses we get for choosing Vlandia. The first benefit is 5% more renown from battles, as well as 15% more income when serving as a mercenary. This is one of my favorite bonuses, as the 5% more renown helps you get to clan tier 6 faster, allowing you to have more companions and troops in your party. The 15% added income helps offset your troop wages and can push you into the hundreds or even thousands of positive dinars per day. The 10% production to villages that are bound to castles is okay and can help add another couple dinars to your pockets. The penalty for choosing Vlandia is that recruiting lords to armies costs 20% more influence. This would be a downside, however, another YouTuber, Strat Gaming, recently posted a video that showed throughout his testing, this actually had the opposite effect and reduced the cost for Vlandians to recruit lords to armies. If this is still working in the same way, that means Vlandia actually has 3 positive culture bonuses. Finally, let's take a quick look at the Vlandian troops. They have the Sharpshooter, which is one of my favorite units for defending in sieges. They get to use that 100 damage bound crossbow with unlimited ammo because they get to refill. And they also have a sword and shield, which is great for holding the line on the top of that wall. They have some mid-tier infantry, as well as the Banner Knight, which I consider to be top 3 cavalry in the game. Coming up next, we have the first culture that I'm going to place in the above average tier, the Kuzait. When taking a look at their location, we can see that the Kuzait is on the far east side and have similar benefits to Vlandia. Something else that should be noted is that they barely have any trees or anything to slow you down, so that your party can move at full speed when traveling throughout these lands. One side benefit is that the Kuzait are located next to Sturgia, so you can bully them when you're playing through your campaign. Next, let's take a look at the culture bonuses we get for choosing the Kuzait. Our first benefit is a 10% reduction in costs to recruiting and upgrading mounted troops. This is similar to the benefit that Sturgia gets and can help you save a few dinars, but is much less useful in the late game. The second benefit is a 25% increase in production bonus to horses, mules, cows, and sheep in village owned by the Kuzait rulers. This means that your villages will earn you a little bit of extra money over time. The negative we get is a 25% less income from towns. The Kuzait is one of my least favorite culture bonuses. The 2 benefits up here only add a slight increase to dinars, and then we lose it from the reduction. Finally, let's take a quick look at the troops of the Kuzait, which is what earned them their spot on the list. They have the Khan's Guard, who is the best horse archer in game, could do ridiculous damage from range and melee, as well as having a decent infantryman and cavalry unit. Once again, guys, be sure to check out my troop tier list videos if you want to see more in depth on all of the units in Bannerlord. Up next is the final culture I'm going to place in the above average tier, Battania. Battania, unlike the previous factions we've discussed, is sat right in the middle of 4 different enemies. This means they can often find themselves at war with 2 factions and having to split their troops on 2 different fronts. This can cause them to be spread thin and get some of their castles or towns taken. One benefit that should be noted though is that Seanon is one of the best trade towns in the early game and has the lowest prices on hardwood. This can be great if you're looking to start a smithing playthrough. Next, let's take a look at the culture bonuses we get for choosing Battania. Our first benefit is a 50% less speed penalty, as well as 15% bonus sight range when in forests. This is great because there's forests pretty much all over the map, and similar to the Aserai buff, this can allow us to escape enemies or chase them down. Our second bonus is that towns owned by Battanian rulers have +1 militia production. This is great because militia are wage-free troops that can defend your town for you. The added militia can raise your garrison so high that they don't even attack you, preventing some sieges in the first place. Pretty great to me. The negative that you get is a 10% slower build rate for town projects in settlements. I don't find this to be that impactful. It will only increase the build time by maybe a few days, and you can always pay to increase it. Finally, let's take a look at the units of Battania. They have the Fiend Champion, which is in my opinion the best unit in the game. He has that high damage, high accuracy bow, which allows him to get a ridiculous amount of kills in battle. However, the rest of the troops leave a little bit to be desired. The Oathsworn and the Wilding have pretty low armor for melee units. However, the Veteran Foxman is a very strong two-handed fighter. Finally, we have what I consider to be the strongest faction in Bannerlord, the Empire. As we can see, the Empire is placed in the most vulnerable spot on the map, the center. This means that they're bordering several different factions and can be forced into fighting wars on multiple fronts, spreading their troops thin. This vulnerability does come with some benefits, as any one of the 3 Empire factions can expand and take over the entire center of the map much easier, because all of these settlements have the Empire culture. You won't have to worry about the negative loyalty or rebellions nearly as much like other factions when trying to take over towns of a different culture. Next, let's take a look at the culture bonuses we get for choosing the Empire. Our first benefit is a 20% reduction to garrison troop wage. This is a pretty amazing bonus. It can help you save a lot of money, especially once you start owning multiple settlements, and if you want to fill them up with high tier troops to defend them. This could be saving you thousands of dinars. Our second benefit is that being in an army brings 25% more influence. This does work when you're creating armies with your own companions, so this can be nice in the early game and help you earn a little bit more influence. The negative we get is that our village hearths will increase 20% less. This means our villages will grow slower over time and earn a little bit less money. Finally, let's take a quick look at the troops of the Empire. Similar to Aserai, they have a high diversity and are able to recruit all the different types of troops. Sword and shield, two-handed, archers, horse archers, and cavalry through their noble line, and even crossbowmen. All of their tier 5 units are either best in class or very comparable to the other tier 5 troops. Very high armor units that can deal a lot of damage. That wraps things up for my tier list of the best cultures in Bannerlord. I hope I didn't go too in depth and bore you guys too much. I'm going to link my troop tier list videos if you guys want to check out, see a little bit more in depth on each of the troops that I presented in this video. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like and subscribed for more content.